Hello, hello, hello. It is adrienneobey, Capricorntigress of Astrology, aLookInside.com. And today I'm coming with three amazing spiritual entrepreneurs. We're going to talk about their business and what they do. We've got Allison Alexander, Star Hansen, and Sheila Kadir here, and I'm going to learn all about them. I heard them chatting amongst each other while I was getting ready, but I'm going to learn about them together with you guys today. So I'm so excited to get started. And as usual, I go in order, alphabetical order. And so that means we're going to start with Allison. And if you could just kind of describe who you are, where you're from, and what business you do, and like what got you started on this journey of doing what it is that you currently do. So let's go ahead and jump right in with Allison.
Hi, I'm Allison Alexander. I live in Aspen, Colorado, and I call myself a curiosity curator. And what that means is I work with women who are on a journey to get to know themselves better. So I work with them on trying to dive into what it is that makes them tick. If they're feeling like something in their life isn't going quite right, we start to examine and look inside. And then as we do that, we also look outside and look at like what's impacting their life. So really curiosity is a skill. So I try and help them like flex that muscle and strengthen it, because it's something that a lot of us have had kind of taken out of us as we've gotten older. And so I help them tap into, their childlike curiosity again. So that's what I do. And honestly, I have been curious my whole life. And I have started two different clothing companies. I am a librarian by training. So honestly, my whole life has really been spent asking questions, reading books, and just digging into things. So that's how I got started on this. Just a lifelong journey of wondering what's that about.
What's that about? Now, what's the name of your company again?
So my clothing brand company is called KFT Brands, and then I'm just Allison M. Alexander on all the socials.
Beautiful, exciting. And so we're going to learn more about you and your clothing and how you do what you do. So I'm excited to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you for
And
having me.
Sheila Kadir. Wait. Star Hansen. I'm making sure I'm doing the alphabetical right. Star Hansen, you're next.
I'll be next. Okay, hi. My name is Star Hansen. I'm a certified professional organizer, but I am actually a clutter whisperer and a spiritual organizer. So what that means is that I go into your house and I help you decode the way that the clutter is inviting you to expand more deeply into your life. It helps you overcome your blocks and just break through barriers, because the inner chaos creates external chaos, and we can read it both ways. It's so much fun. So I started doing this, oh my gosh, 17 years ago by total accident. I had friends basically asking me to help my whole life. And then I was an actress at the time, and I started booking movies and commercials and stuff, and I just didn't love it. And my soul would not leave me alone. My soul was like, get your purpose. So one day I was like, well, what's my purpose? And it struck me on the head. I'm a healer, and I get to heal people. I get to help people come home to themselves through their physical objects. And my company is Reveal by Star, and you can find me at star.hansen on most social channels. And yeah, I'm here and so ecstatic to be talking with other spiritual goddesses about our alchemy.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. And Sheila, let's hear about you.
I'm Sheila Kadir, and I'm based in the UK, just outside of London, and I am an intuitive business alchemist. And what I do is I help entrepreneurs, spiritual entrepreneurs, to clear energetic blocks. So I've got a background in hypnotherapy and a lot of other healing modalities, and I help them heal their energetic blocks so that they can create their soul aligned businesses. So there are so many women that they want to create a business, a spiritual business, but they've got blocks and they don't know where they come from. And a lot of the times they come from past lives. So a lot of spiritual women have the witch wound. They come from ancestors. They come from blocks in the heart. So I kind of like go in, give them a real bit of a clean up. So it's really interesting with Star here as well, because it's clearing the energetic blocks and the clutter as well. And then I help them to fulfill their, their ambition, their dream, make money doing what they love. And my background is actually in the police. So I was a police officer and a private investigator. So I've gone from, proper corporate and public service into, helping spiritual entrepreneurs and fulfilling my life purpose, really.
Oh, that's beautiful. You know, it's funny because as a spiritual entrepreneur, I still know I have blocks.
Mm.
I still know that. Like I feel it and I'm fighting it. And I keep, like, I've got a money block that
Mm.
is so deep and so strong that no matter what I do, I'm still fighting the poverty mindset. Now, here's how, because I'm a healer too, I do sacred soul alignments. And here's the funny thing of how it works. No matter how deep my block is, I've done healing for my family wounds. And so, releasing all the oaths and vows and contracts. So, yeah, I still am like technically poor, but my daughter made $500,000. So that's how abundance works, right? So it's clearing it. It's just doing it the roundabout way. And I just found out today that she's pregnant. And so they're thinking about getting a house and moving me in. So isn't that funny, right? I'm thinking about myself. And the universe is like, no, we've got a greater plan. And that's the way things work. Amazing. When it comes to healing, because both of you guys, you're working on the clutter. I've got clutter block. I got clutter all over. And I had something weird happen, and I'm going to ask you if this is normal. I had started working out because I've done some workouts. It's a long story. I used to be 500 pounds. And so every year I do the 21-day dance challenge, and I had started doing it. And the weird thing was little pockets of my house started getting cleared up. Is that something that's normal?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, the more that your external environment is really an expression of your internal environment. So when you choose to do something like, oh, I'm going to commit to myself for 21 days, I'm going to commit to joy and uplift and health for 21 days, and it's not a have to, it's a yes, then yeah, it lightens your energy, the spaces around you, because like attracts like, as we know. So if you have this lightness in you, the external has to start to become lightness as well. And what's nice is when you kind of align with that, when you start to clear, it's easy, it's fun, it's joyful, it's passionate, it's creative, versus feeling like, oh, I have to do it. Because like what you were just saying, Adrienne, it's like, I'm a big believer. There's been so many things in this life where I'm like, I want to create this. I want to do this. What's wrong with me? This whole like, modern metaphysical world is a little just damaging to us, because it's like, well, why can't I out manifest the cancer or the poverty? What if we weren't meant to? What if it's in our soul contract and there are just certain things we're supposed to experience? And it's not that we can't change the world around us, we can, but I do think that part of it is accepting that this is a journey we're walking through. And so just like Allison does, how do we get curious? How do we get excited? How do we like allow that to be this beautiful dance where it's like, okay, it's not about turning it off. It's about being in connection with it. And like, I like want to cry. I love the idea of you, Adrienne, dancing with your clutter, and your clutter starting to tell you where it wants to be and how it wants to be in your soul and communication with your house. And like, oh, I get like such goosebumps about that. Like we would all, in my organizing membership, we all dance. We dance when we start, we dance when we end, we dance at the breaks. And it's so helpful to like change the energy, right?
That's amazing. I love it. The craziest thing is I just remember right during the first few days I started, I had gotten out the shower, and I must have looked at the horribleness in that shower, in the bathroom for months without, because COVID, I went through COVID coma. And I just looked at the corner, like just in the corner of where the bathtub and the toilet met, and I was like, no. And I just remember spraying all this spray and cleaning and cleaning and cleaning. And it's like the little corner of a bathroom drove me insane. I had to clean it. And so I wonder, like, I don't know if that's something that's normal. Like all of a sudden you see that clutter.
Well, here's the thing. So every single room in our house corresponds to a different area of our life, right? Think of it like the chakras. Like every single room connects to the chakras. And so just like our body has chakras, but the earth has chakras, and cities have chakras, and houses have chakras. And so when you're organizing your space, when you get that itch that you have to do it, it's because there's an energy field that's trying to open up. And so if you look at it in that way, that it's like, it may not make sense. There's days where I just have to clean the stovetop. And of course, there's 80 other things, and you could see it as distraction, but I also know that it's an opening of energy. And sometimes we need to go where we're called, not where we should go. Like, we have to leave the human world for a second of all the shoulds and need to, and jump into energetically, this is going to blow open that door so I can just fly through there. So huge yay to you listening to that little corner of the shower that needed TLC.
I just remember, because I just remember when I was spraying, I'm like, I'm so sorry, little colony of bacteria, whatever you are. Like, I knew I was killing off millions of germs or something. That's hilarious.
They were calling for their release as well. They were excited about non-physical. They were like, take me to the next level, please. I'm excited to be in my next life, spiritual guide.
It's hilarious. And I think now that, I'm thinking, oh, wow, we might be moving. So now it's all tying in together, like start clearing out the clutter now, and in preparation, it's all beginning to fall into alignment. It makes sense. So, Allison, I wanted to ask you, I wanted to find out more about what you do and your clothing, and how someone like me might benefit from what it is that you do, because that's really interesting as well.
Thanks. So yeah, my clothing brand is actually, this clothing brand that I have now started in 2015. After the birth of my daughter, I started doing CrossFit and started getting really into like strengthening my physical body. I went through a really dark bout of postpartum depression. And so I actually started my first business as like a distraction to kind of like work through some of that. And prior to having my daughter, I was a Pilates instructor and a group fitness instructor, and I kind of got away from that. And then I started doing CrossFit and started lifting a lot. And what I found was that there weren't a lot of women represented that looked like me, like growing muscles. Like I would like, I felt like there wasn't anything out there, and I already knew how to start a clothing line. So that's my clothing line emerged from my commitment to just trying to create more visibility and more inclusion for like women who were growing their muscles and perhaps doing something that was a little bit different, not necessarily like yoga or other things. And so what I did was I really focused on the strength that I was building. And over time, as I started to do work through my own healing and reconnecting more with myself, I started to realize that I had things to offer that were not necessarily related to just the physical. And so what happened was I spent a lot of time working on my physical body and in this business and all of that. But then over time, the women that I connected with and created community with were also kind of coming along with me on this journey of, meditation and, looking at what's underneath my conditioning as women and starting to turn inward. So then last year I started just coaching women who were coming to me, and it all kind of emerged in that way, very organically. Like I said, I've been an e-commerce entrepreneur for like 11 years. So I'm really communicating with women in the virtual space is really easy for me. It's just something I really have loved doing, but I was doing it in my like real life. But during COVID, when things were shutting down, I started just kind of exploring, and I've really fallen in love with this ability to help women who have spent time strengthening their physical body and now are interested in taking it inward. Because I think that sometimes we're not quite ready to do the inner work because we need to kind of work through some of the external. And I think that fitness can be a gateway. So that's kind of how my work has emerged.
Oh, that's amazing. You mentioned that you had like a change during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering, did you sense that shift, like a big change for your business during the last year or so?
Yeah, in my clothing business, I was often advertising, and all of my photos were of like women working out in gyms, and as that became a reality that a lot of people couldn't do. I felt really uncomfortable sharing that. So I started to actually share more of my personal journey. And as I did that, I found more and more women connecting with me, because prior to COVID, I was using, athletes who are at elite level competition, and I was focusing more on that. Well, that wasn't anyone's reality last year. That didn't feel authentic to me. So I really shifted my business model and created. And what was interesting is the business actually kind of grew in different and amazing ways last year, and it helped to create more of a personal connection. So it was really exciting to have it evolve, but it came from that, like, just feeling really inauthentic and uncomfortable with sharing old photos and things of people in gyms when the women that I was trying to support couldn't do that. So I had to shift and pivot, and that was a real leap of faith that I think has worked out pretty well for me.
That's beautiful. And I love how we can mesh the spiritual into everything, even like clothing,
Yes.
or exercise, all of it. It's all connected, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah. And so sometimes people aren't quite ready to dig in, but I think through connecting with their physical bodies and really tapping in, I over time, I think that there starts to be a sense that, like, oh, what else is out there for me? And that's what I'm finding with the women that I work with. Like, what else is next? Now that I've strengthened my physical, I'm ready to move on.
Yeah, I love that. I truly do. And I wish I had someone like you when I was first getting up, because it was, I started a thing called Dance and Slim Down. I don't do much with it now, but I still have it because there's always that woman out there who is in that place where I was, when you're 500 pounds, it's hard for you to put on anything and work out. So, it's a real emotional box we find ourselves in when we're that size.
Yeah.
And, that makes me think of you, Sheila. You were saying you helped people to clear these energies and things that they have around them. Have you had more people come to you during the COVID season because of issues surrounding that feeling?
Yeah, I feel, more people have kind of, because with COVID, they're now pushed, well, what do I do? Because people are being made redundant, and they're now kind of like wanting to follow their soul calling. They're wanting to follow, what's going to actually bring them joy, what's going to bring them freedom. And, the corporate world, for many, people are losing their jobs. I mean, my other half was made redundant, and we've had to kind of like switch gears on with him as well. So more people are coming to me, and they're realizing that, well, why can't I earn the money that I want? Why is it not working? What's going on? Where are the blocks? And I help them uncover them so that they can then just step in and create the income that they want. Because sometimes it's just, getting aligned, clearing that, the blocks, and then what quite often happens is you'll find more. So once you start uncovering, there's another layer, and then once you shift that, then you get that growth. So it's a continuing journey with blocks, really, I feel.
So, I mean, I guess the first step is identifying the first initial block, right? If you can at least get to that point, then that's the first step.
Yeah, I mean, I generally look at past lives first of all. That's kind of like where I start. Then we look at the vows that people may have made in past lives. The other thing that I do is future life progression as well. So I take them into the future so they can actually have a look at their business and what they actually are creating. Maybe it's a book they're creating, or, a different kind of business, and then take them out into the future so they can have a look at it, and then we anchor that energy in the now so that they can get there even quicker. So I look at the past, I look at the future, and then we look at the present, which is their childhood. So I kind of like span all dimensions of time, really.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And it's amazing that you're able to hook into what people are holding on to, that are blocking them, because I have worked and worked and worked and worked, and I still can feel that niggling of that I'm holding on to something that's the key, that'll unlock it. You look like you wanted to say something there.
I have so many things to say and questions to ask. It's so hard to be quiet. So Sheila, okay, so I love the idea of taking them forward, because I think one of the things is people don't think about is the future self, right? The future self is always in the room with us. Like if a lot of people look at their clutter, you're keeping things because you want to do it someday, right? But I love this idea of bringing them into the future so that they can touch it. Do you ever find that, does that ever kind of mess people up a little bit to where it kind of like then freezes, like, you know, I've seen before where people will get a psychic reading and they'll get information and then they're kind of like looking, like they're a little cagey looking for it. You know, do you ever find that with people, or does it actually really like, does it settle in on a grounded way that makes them feel like, oh, now I've got it?
No, no. What happens is, because I do psychic readings as well, so I kind of like coming at it from both angles. But with a psychic reading, I'm reading it, I'm telling them what I'm seeing. But with future life progression, that I'm taking them under hypnosis and they are seeing it for themselves. So they will see, what their business is. Maybe they want to write a book, they'll have a look at the book they've written, they'll have a look at where they're living, they'll have a look at partners, children, everything. And so when they see that and feel it, and when we anchor it, it's like, wow, that's my life. That's my, that's what I can have. And it pushes them forward. So I don't feel that it makes them go, oh, that's not what I want. It's like, oh my God, wow, I can have that.
I love that, because I think so many people aren't really fully cognizant of what they're capable of achieving.
Absolutely,
They
yeah.
don't even see it.
No.
They're right. Um,
And
I'm an
Adrian, can I ask
astrologer,
you a
so
question too? Whenever is good for you, I'm dying to ask you a question too, Adrian.
Go ahead, start. Go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, like congratulations on losing weight. That's amazing, first of all. So I'm curious because, when I get my version of that because my weight has fluctuated and I have like giant boobs and like a big waist and no button thighs. So like finding things that fit is like not impossible, but it's everything I own is tailored. So when I lose weight, it's very difficult to let go of these things. So even though like everyone says, oh, release, it's like, oh, but I fluctuate. I'm a lady and I fluctuate. So like, I'm curious, as you've been losing weight, how has it felt to release these former parts of you and through the physical stuff and release the like the body and the stuff?
Oh, well, first of all of the clothes that I had, because my original, you lose that much weight. I lost 300 pounds. So the first 100, then the second 100, then the last 100, and I still have more to go. I'm not perfect or anything. And I do have big, and the first thing we did was, I remember calling like a truck to come and get the clothes, bags and bags of clothes. I got rid of everything. I didn't want one memory of that size to be with me. So now, I mean, if I get, a little chunky, I start to panic because there are no big clothes. I mean, those big clothes are gone. And now I fluctuated though between, say, a 12. I never got to a 10, but I did get to a 12, 14, and 16. I'm like a 16 now. And so I know to get back down to a 14, I've got those 12s waiting. And my goal is to be a 10. I mean, but for someone who was bigger than a size 15, there was no size big enough for me. I was just in fabric, and there's no bra big enough. There's Romans, Lane Bryant, all of the big clothes shops, they're way bigger than them, bigger than a 6X. So imagine that. And I'm only 5'4.5". So imagine what this was. It was amazing. I'm lucky to be alive. And it was because of a blood transfusion that I made it. But because my blood was tainted, of course, after so much weight loss, it destroys your liver to lose that much weight. And I'm grateful to be here. But I was in a wheelchair for 7 years as well. So the fact that I had I almost get teary, that I had the courage to stand. Because at first that was the big thing, was how do I stand? And I remember the first time I tried to stand, I could only stand for 45 seconds. And it was so painful. And then I got up and I thought I can dance. And I danced for 45 seconds. And I just remember back in 2017, I opened up danceandslimdown.com. I could dance for hours, like 4 or 5 hours. I was flying high back then. Now I would say, an hour or two a day, I'm good. I'm almost 60 years old now. So it really has slowed me down because, I don't want to say I'm almost 60, but reality is I am. My kid's almost 35. I've got to own up to reality. So I'm just grateful that I got my life back because I thought it was over. And I think we live a certain way when we think life is over. But then when we realize, no, there's a little bit more left in there, then you start to perk up. You want to take care of yourself. You don't mind getting rid of the old because you're looking forward to bringing in the new. I think that's
Beautiful.
where I'm at now. And I still believe, like in between, I got married to a man from England, by the way, Sheila. I married a man from Derby. And but he turned out to be an alcoholic and I had to kick him to the curb. So anyway, he ghosted me, but we are done. And I feel like, but that's not it. I don't think he's the end. I think he was a bridge, like to get my confidence back. Like, look, you're still attractive. It's not over just because you're over 50 doesn't mean you can't get married. And I still think I'm cute for almost 60. And I think there's still another go in there. So that's just.
For sure. For sure. I think we're all like nodding emphatically. Yes.
Yeah. And what I think, like when you're curious and like when you start to see that new possibilities are available to you, like in keeping that curiosity, like that's really what why I really promote curiosity is because curiosity creates possibility. And as long as you're open and curious and like wondering like, ooh, what else could be out there? You haven't like, if there's millions of possibilities and the more curious you are, the more open you are to different possibilities. So then you can keep going and then you can start to find some confidence because if something doesn't go exactly the way you want, if you're curious, you can always find another way to make it work out. Right.
It's so true. It's so true. And it's like, there's a saying I always say, it's not over till it's over. Like, when I was 40, I thought, oh, I'm old. When I was 45, I thought, oh, I'm old. When I was 50, oh, I thought I'm old. When I got 55, I thought I was old. Now I'm like almost 60. I'm like, I'm cute. I'm not going to be old. So, it's not over till it's over. Sometimes we give up too soon. And it's not our time. Maybe our time isn't, our season is 60 to 65 or whatever it is, and don't give up. So I love that curiosity. I love having that expectancy, the belief that something good. Sheila, when you were saying you get them to see that future, it's believing it. I mean, because once you believe it, you start to see it. Like I personally know what my mansion looks like, the floor plan, every room, where the hot tub is, where the gardens are, everything. I know where the bathrooms are, everything. I've got it so deeply implanted in my brain that I know every nuance of that mansion. It's not even been here yet. I've been seeing it since I was 6. So I know it's coming. I can feel it. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think we should ever lose that expectancy, that dream, that hope, that curiosity to believe that something is better than what we have now. And if we're desiring something better than we have now. So anyone else, any comments on that? Because I'll talk forever on that.
Yeah. I mean, with the work that I do in future life progression, if they've got options, if they're, for example, I want to see what, doing this career would be like for me, opposed to that career, then you can take them on those different options and then they can have a look and see, well, that doesn't really fit well with me. That's not going to work. And then they can go down another route. So it's like showing them those possibilities and then getting them to feel it. Well, what does that feel like? Step into it. And then if it's something that they really, really want, then we anchor that feeling and make it so believable for them, because it is there for them. They can have it. And then they anchor that and bring it back with them. So they're in that energy right now. So it's like, we bring that timeline. Maybe they saw it in 10 years time. We bring it in closer, 2 years, 1 year, whatever. by just anchoring that energy. So I absolutely love what people see, and sometimes it's not what they expect. So I did one with a lady. We went out into the future to have a look at her business. She thought she was a teacher. That's what she was. She was a tutor. And what she actually saw was a sailing academy, something completely
Wow.
different. But it was one of her passions when she was younger. And now she's kind of like building that business. She knows it's not coming, it's not, yeah, it's a couple of years down the line, but she's building that now.
Isn't
So
that
it's
amazing?
just
So
amazing to see.
she tapped into like her inner desire. She
Yeah.
didn't even know it was there.
She didn't know it was there. No, amazing.
Incredible. You know, one of the questions I want to ask you each is working as a spiritual entrepreneur. We get to help people experience life changes like that. Have any of you have any stories to share of those? Star, I sense you got something to say here.
Always. I'm a talker. You remember that commercial a few years ago where the little kid was like, blah, blah, blah. And the dad shuts the door and he gets in the car and she's like, blah, blah. That's totally was me, is me always. Yeah. So it is such an honor to be able to partner with people, because I do vision it in that way, as I'm sure all of you do too. We're not doing it for them. We're partnering with them and we're building something together and holding the light for them in the moments that they can't, when they have gotten a little lost and they're a little stuck. And it's beautiful, to really watch someone, when you all are talking about holding the intention, right? When you're organizing a space, one of the greatest mistakes people make is just jumping in there. They don't take the time to say, what am I creating in my life? What am I creating in the space? What do I want to experience? How do I want it to look? How do I want to feel? And exactly like Sheila said, feeling it, letting it, put it on like a coat, ooh, okay. And then getting into that energy before you take action, so that you're in the pocket of where you want to go, right? It's like, I'm flowing. But it's a beautiful honor when I'm working with people to really discover what's there. I've been hired before for someone who, their house was a mess and they really wanted to leave their partner but didn't know it. They hadn't fully admitted it to themselves. And I knew it within an hour. I was like, oh, she wants to call a U-Haul. Got it. And, for someone else there, it's one of the most powerful stories I've ever experienced. Is I was working with a client who was in a really emotionally abusive relationship. And unfortunately she couldn't leave. The story we all want to tell is and then she got her strength and money and health, and then she left. And it's not always the case. And that's not everybody's story. And she was in a situation that in her perception she had to stay in. And through decoding what the clutter meant, through decoding where it was and what was really needed in her life, she discerned what she needed instead. And what she needed was comfort in a really toxic environment. And she ended up getting a dog, and it changed her life because, suddenly she has someone who's happy to see her, who always loves her, who's snuggling with her, and she can distract from the chaos. Oh, I need to take the dog for a walk when they're raging or whatever's going on. And there was suddenly an outlet for her in there. And so it's to me, it's those moments where you see somebody has expanded within themselves a little bit more and strengthened themselves. I didn't make a big change, but I've expanded into myself more. And it really is an honor to be able to be in this collective of people helping on this level.
Yeah. Beautiful. It really is.
Yeah.
I can attest to that. Allison, were you going to say something?
Yeah, just to add, one of the things that came to me while you were talking, Star, about how sometimes you need to think about how you want your life to feel. And so often I think people create things because they see other people doing it and they think, oh, they look happy. If I had that, I'd be happy. And I teach a small group coaching program for female entrepreneurs because I am one. And so this woman came into the last round of the program called Shark School. And she came in and she was like, she has a PhD. She was working 4 different jobs to make ends meet. She's like, I got this degree thinking that I would be able, to make money in academia. And the reality of it is it's actually really hard. It's very hard. And she was finding that it wasn't really in alignment with what she wanted. So she had created a side business and she's like, I just want to grow my business. I want to grow my business. But when we really started to get into what do you want your life to feel like? She didn't actually want to grow a business. She actually realized she wants to be doing research. She likes to collaborate. And during the course of our working together, she actually found a job that she did as a research scientist for a fitness corporation that she didn't even know existed, and doubled her salary, was able to quit everything else. And it's like, she's like, now my business is just kind of whatever I want, because it doesn't have to pay my bills. And she's finally in a place where she can settle. She realized she actually did want the stability, which is part of why she went into academia. It's part of why she did all those things. So chasing this business as an entrepreneur wasn't actually going to satisfy her. And she felt but we had to do a lot of digging and a lot of questioning, like, okay, because you see other people like taking this path doesn't mean that it's necessarily right for you. And so now she's much happier, like, and feeling safe in her body and her life, and she'll tell you like her life feels totally different. And I love that when you ask women what they want their life to feel like, and start tapping into what's inside of themselves, how the thing, and when they're honest, how those things start to show up for them as possibilities, like the idea of getting a dog, like, or whatever the thing is, these small change, like we all think we have to like throw out everything.
Yeah.
And really, like, sometimes like it's just a few small tweaks and looking in places where we didn't realize there were possibilities available to us. And that's such a phenomenal gift to be able to be a part of, and to help someone explore their options and what they want their lives to feel like.
Yeah.
Allison, is your business called Shark School?
So my small group coaching program is called Shark School. Yes.
I love it.
Obsessed with sharks, by the way. I was like, she doesn't know who she's talking to right now. I love it. I love sharks.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I always say every group of people, there's always some synchronicity in there. So I see sharks going on here. This is amazing. That's amazing. Beautiful. Beautiful. Sheila, anything that you like to add to that?
What else could I say about that? I mean, it is getting people to actually try things on, feel it, absolutely feel it. And that's what I love doing with my clients, getting them to like literally put that coat on. And that is one of the things that I do with people in my sessions, and it is with a coat. I get them to put this new sparkly coat on that has all the energy of everything that they want, and then they take off the old one and like throw it in a bin. So that's kind of like part of the stuff that I do with them. But just that using those visuals can really help and really kind of cement it for them.
That's beautiful. It's so funny, the things that we do have. Like, I was thinking about blocks that hold us back, and I was thinking about me coming on live. I had lost a tooth. I don't know if you noticed it. And now I smile all over, snaggletooth or not. But it took me almost a year to come and have a really big, now I just snaggletooth it. And I thought, oh, all my dreams are over because I've lost this tooth, right? And who would ever want to see me, the stuff we tell ourselves. But now when I think about it, I'm in everyone's face with my little tooth. I don't even think about it anymore. It's funny how we can remove those blocks, whatever they are, just by seeing a situation from a whole different viewpoint. Now I think if anyone sees it, it's what makes me different. Like, hey, that woman, does she have a tooth over there? Oh, that's interesting.
You're so beautiful. I didn't see it. Now that I see it, I don't think anything about it. I'm not like, oh, well, she was real pretty until that. Like, no, you're just as beautiful. You're amazing. But you're right. I think, I talk a lot about the monsters in the closet, right? We're trying to like really shed light on the monsters in our closet. And the truth is the monsters in our closet are really up here, which is why they're so terrifying, because we can't actually escape them. I can't close the door and be like, you don't exist anymore. It's like the greatest stumbling block is often the battering we give ourselves before we get started. It's like, oh, I really want to start working out. Oh, you're not going to do that. You haven't done it before. Look at all the times you didn't do, it's like we beat ourselves up. Who wants to go and do anything positive after someone's been beating the crap out of you for 5 minutes? Like, I don't.
So true. And I can tell you, as someone, like I said, my size, the hardest thing was changing the inner voice and the mindset, because it was the same message that wanted to come back and tell me the same things, but I had to like, no, I'm not her anymore. I'm this person now. Like, to stand up for myself, because otherwise it'll just keep that on replay, right?
yeah, it's like dial into your soul. I remember I like had lost weight this one time and I went to go put on a pair of pants and I looked at these pants and I thought they're way too small. They're not going to fit. And I put them on and they were big. And I was like, but my brain had shifted back to the fat brain, right? It was like, it just went right back to fat brain.
Yeah.
And that was like, 15 years ago, something, but it's so fascinating to see. And it's so funny because when I hear you talk about your weight, your identity as a weight, it's like, I feel your identity as a soul. And can we start to identify with our soul, which is, these are just dust bags. Like we're just walking around a big old dust bag. It's going to fly. Like, I don't care how hot you are at 22. We're all going to end up wrinkly and old at 90 something, right? So like, it's like, even if we had those other moments, like we are essentially this beautiful essence that I feel in each of you. That's like the real truth. Right. And it's like, how do we live from that instead of believing this passing thing that's here to help? It's a tool. Like this human body is just a legit tool and we can do what we need to with it.
It's so true. And I think, Sheila, I heard you say you were the one who was a hypnotist, right?
Yeah, I do hypnotherapy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I actually saw a hypnotist. I had went through my divorce, and he, in a way, he helped me to feel like whatever that feeling of lightness is, because, I was floating up in the atmosphere and you're weightless. And I think it just gave me that feeling of feeling weightless. It's our bodies, that's just an experience we're having. It's not really the essence of who we are. We're so much more than just the physical body. And it took a while for me to grasp that. But once you do, things like your physical weight or what you look like on the outside, they mean nothing. That's not your divine self. So, yeah. So have you seen, Sheila, where your hypnotism, has that helped other people to get ahead? Or has that helped you in your business at all, the hypnosis portion of it?
Yeah, I mean, I use that in all my sessions with my clients. So it's part of what I do. So I do something as well called heart healing, which heals the barriers in the heart. Because when you link the heart and the mind, you are so much stronger. And we build up these barriers around the heart, when you're young, people that have hurt you, mother and father wounds, all these things build a barrier, and that stops us from receiving love, receiving money. So I do a lot of work around that. So the inner child stuff, the wounds as well. And I do that through hypnotherapy, and seeing the change in that just through, taking them into a trance-like state and talking to their subconscious mind, because it's the conscious mind that's telling them all these things, like you can't do that, you can't do that. And then talking to the subconscious, who has, it's kind of like built up this barrier, this wall, because of fear or because of things that have happened in the past. So just allowing that to, unthink that, it just releases them, and it's just a joy to see when people leave and they're so much lighter. And everything is about them feels, and you can see it on a soul level as well. You can just see that light come back. It's amazing.
I love that. It's like we're giving people options they didn't know existed
Yeah.
before. It's amazing. So, okay, I can't believe we've already almost an hour in. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give each of you the floor to say whatever it is you want to say, and we're going to go in alphabetical order again. So that means we're going to start with you, Allison Alexander. The floor is yours. Whatever you want to say, go ahead, and because I'm sure I didn't cover a lot. So whatever it is I haven't covered or you want to let people know.
My goodness. Sometimes it's really great to be the first in the alphabet, and sometimes it's really overwhelming to be the first in the alphabet. And I'm literally always the first in the alphabet. Whether you're going by first or last name, I'm pretty much always the first. So yeah, I think that what's been really amazing here and listening to what we're all talking about is again, I feel that thread of curiosity and creating possibilities for all of us. And I love that as like light workers, healers, whatever you want to call it, like there really has to be this element of curiosity and remembering that when we have curiosity, we have possibilities. And so I always encourage people, if you're not quite ready to maybe like lean fully into like your woo-woo or whatever you want to call it, you can almost think about it as approaching your life as a scientist. And because scientists are always looking for different options and for different ways that things can be, and they're not, you know, and that also allows you to reframe your failures or your mistakes or whatever it is. So I think that perhaps the only thing I could really add to this conversation is just, you know, allowing yourself to be open to what is possible, because when we have possibilities, you can create anything and there's never an end of the road. And I just think that's such a magical way to be and to live. So I guess if anyone's interested in learning more about that, let's connect. That's really all I have to say.
Yes. And Allison, be sure to put your links, all of you,
Yeah.
put them in chat for me so I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
have that. And of course, anyone who wants to get our chat messages, they'll be able to get that as well. So next, we're going to ask Star Hansen to come and share whatever is on your heart, whatever message you like to share, and of course, anything you want to promote or anything like that. This is the floor. It's all yours.
Thank you so much. You are a masterpiece. Your house is a masterpiece. If you look at like the David wasn't constructed with little bits and pieces. It was this giant chunk of rock that had been living for how many thousands of years. And then it was slowly released of anything that didn't suit it. And so I think it's so interesting when we look at when we're stepping into our power in our physical spaces. And like we're talking about today, even in our bodies, right? It's not about, we're such a punitive society. Like, show me what's wrong and I'm going to cut it off. Like, no, what if we looked at the process of transformation as a creative endeavor instead of looking for the bad and getting rid of it? Like, I can't tell you how many people I go to their house and they're like, well, I don't want to get rid of stuff. That's not my job. I'm not like the garbage man. I'm not here to take your stuff to the curb. I'm here to help you craft a life, create a life, build something that works for you. And like my client with the dog, sometimes the first step is like buying a bra or buying it's like, it's not always what you think it is, because we're actually in a step of curiosity, like Allison says, growth, expanding, like how Sheila's talking about, into our future self, like what we really want, like totally embodying. And what we want to do anytime we're getting started is just start small, start with what you know, right? And sometimes that means just hang the picture on the dang wall that you've wanted to hang for 5 years because you know it's going to make you feel good. Sometimes that's the first step of getting organized or making any life change. It's following that gut, just like you were saying, Adrienne, at the beginning, cleaning that one corner of the bathroom because the energy needs to open there. And what I did, because a lot of people that I work with, they have had so many failures. They feel like they've started to get organized and it didn't work and they tried again. And you have those voices that say like, oh, well, what's going to be different this time? And what we want to do is show that things are different this time. So what I'd love to give to your listeners is a gift that I created that's 10 things you can organize in 20 minutes or less. And what this does is it gets them an instant win, gets you an instant win to feel like you're on the board of like, I can commit 20 minutes. I can totally do this. I can stop scrolling for 20 minutes. And the little extra perk that I'm throwing in there for your lovely people is that if they organize 5 of those in the next week, they will get a free session with me. So I can help them decode what their clutter means, what's going on in their life. And they can get that at starhansen.com/checklist. And I'll also give you the link. But it's just, we want to get on the map, and you want to get on the map with some hope and lightness and joy. So starhansen.com/checklist, and come show me what you got.
I love it. I love it. And Star, make sure I've got it in the chat, because I will definitely share it on a YouTube channel and during our podcast and everywhere else. I'm going to share it because I will share it everywhere. Believe me.
Will do.
I love that. And last but not least, we've got Sheila Kadir. And you guys, after we finish this, don't go anywhere, because I've got one more thing I'm going to do after that. Okay, Sheila, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay, so if you are a woman who is perhaps in corporate, perhaps kind of like thinking, I don't really want to do this anymore, I'm fed up, I've done loads of courses, loads of strategy, nothing's working for me, I want to get out, I want freedom, I want joy, I want fulfillment. You're this spiritual person, you've got this soul calling, but you can't quite get there. You feel stuck, you feel like nothing is working, then I would love to invite you to come and chat with me, because I can help you to really tap into what it is that you're meant to be doing, what your soul is calling you towards. And because I'm intuitive, I can go with you. I literally can see the bigger picture for you. And I just want to show you what's possible for you, where you can go, what your life can bring you. And so you can create that freedom for you and your family. And also by getting rid of all the trauma in your ancestral lineage, you stop that for you and your future, your children, your future. So you're stopping that. You're the change maker, and you're breaking those patterns forever. So yeah, that's kind of like what I want to say. If anybody is interested in really stepping into their light and getting paid using their gifts, then come and see me.
That's beautiful, Sheila. And when you said about changing the patterns for the future, like that is something that for me, with the money block I mentioned in the beginning, the fact that my daughter has broken that pattern, that chain, that's my mother burying her near a dump site because she had to be buried in a pauper's grave. That will never leave my soul. And I'm so glad we managed to rid our family of that curse.
Yeah.
And I see it in the other females in our family too, but I feel like it was a family curse. The women had all did housework, as slaves basically, and I just the fact that we've rid ourselves of that.
Yeah.
And as my daughter gets closer and closer to 1 million, I just sit there in awe, like she's had an amazing journey, and I really believe it's because of the clearing that we did.
Yeah,
Sacred soul
absolutely.
healing. So that's amazing. Okay, so this is what I always do before we go, and then because I know I got 1 minute. Okay, so I usually try to guess the signs of my guests. So you guys, oh yes, yes, yes. So we're gonna see. This is all a little different here because you're all giving me different vibes. I'm picking up Aries off of all of you, and I know it can't be true. Star, I think you might be a Scorpio, but I could be wrong. I see some red and I see some black. That could be Capricorn or Scorpio, but I'm not sure.
Do you want me to confirm?
Yeah, let me know.
Okay, I'm a triple Libra.
Libra. Oh my God. And I bet you've got Scorpio in that chart.
Yeah, I'm Libra, Scorpio.
I knew it. I could, because it's the way you're dressed, I'm thinking this girl has got to be your essence, but that is the Libra. I wonder if some of that Libra's in the first house with that rising. That's amazing. Just oozing out of you. Beautiful. And you are beautiful, by the way. That's the Libra. The smile, the countenance. I can see it.
I think you are too.
So Allison, now this is our rebel down here. So I'm thinking, are we dealing with Aries or Sag, or are we dealing more with Aquarius? It's hard to tell with the background because you've got that white shirt on, which is very Cancer. So I'm going to let you tell me what's going on here.
I've actually only recently really started to learn more about astrology because I made friends with an astrologer. So I'm learning. So I am a Capricorn, a Sagittarius moon, and Gemini rising.
Sag!
But no one gets any of those things.
Your Sag moon is screaming.
The Sag moon does scream at a lot of people. That part does scream.
It really is. I can see that Sag. That's amazing. But I love that. That is the creative part of you. That is the curiosity of you. Keep being that. I'm a Capricorn, so I relate, Miss Capricorn, but I love that you've got that Sag going because it's all over you. All over you. Beautiful.
Everywhere. Especially
it is.
June too. Yeah.
It's beautiful. So, okay, Miss Redhead over here. This is where I was trying to figure out, because she's got the little round face, which gives off Cancer, but then the red hair, I'm thinking, is this a Leo here? But she's so quiet. I'm not sure if I got a Leo, a Aries, a Sag. What do we got going on?
We got a Taurus.
A Taurus. Do you know that is the second time a Taurus has stumped me for a fire sign? Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Very much so. Wow. So she is relaxed in her, and her voice was very relaxing, wasn't it, to listen to? So that could be the Taurus. And there's probably other things I don't see in her chart, but that red hair, man, that's screaming some type of fire right there. You got fire in the belly. I love it. I love it. Maybe she's got, because her little face is round, right? I'm wondering if maybe she's got her moon in Taurus or something like that. I love to see people's chart. I love doing the charts. They're so much fun. So you guys, this has been so much fun. Does anyone have any questions for me or anything before you go?
No, just thank you so much. This was great. Everybody, it was so nice meeting you all.
It has been such a pleasure meeting you, and I will send messages to you all, because I forgot to send them beforehand. I usually get the photo and the bio before, but I'll get the photo and bio after for you three, okay? So much love and light to all of you, and I always put the music on so we can party outy here. Let's go ahead and party on out. Let's see if the music comes on so we can party out, but it's not coming on right now. So I guess we're not meant to party out. There it goes. There it goes. Much love and light to all of you. Many blessings. Wow.